welcome back, and don't forget you're listening to this interesting English literary program, The Pain, a program that features both classical and contemporary writers, and also that engages in different literary discussions across the world. And don't forget we are discussing with Professor Ibrahim Bello-Kano, popularly known as Professor IBK, where we've been discussing the life and works of Ngugi Wa Thiang'o, who died 5 days ago. Now we are back, and we're going to take another question before we come back to the messages we got from social media handles. Mr. Nura.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Abba.
Welcome.
Prof,
yeah.
Let me take you back a little bit about when we talk about the language, the usage of language by Ngugi Wa Thiang'o. You know, I think I read in one of his essays when he was pointing out that he is fighting for African indigenous language because there are some phrases and some terms that are here in Africa which cannot be represented by any of English words. So what is your
I can tell you that was a subtle criticism of Achebe. That's you know, at Makerere, Ngugi presented a paper that we should endeavor to write in our African writers should endeavor to write in indigenous languages to promote the language, to expand its vocabulary and put it on a world map. Achebe responded at that time with the argument that no need, that he has been given the English language. If you go and read Achebe's essay in Morning Aid on Creation Day, it's there for students. Go to Morning Aid on Creation Day, you see that essay in which I've been given the language. And I tend to use it. In fact, I'm quoting Achebe, that I've been given the language and I tend to use it. Only that it must bend to accommodate my own native experience. Unquote. So, there was a disquiet. Achebe showed himself as simply an admirer of the English language. Well, it's not surprising. If you go to Igbo land today, most people speak English.
Yes.
Professor, I can mention his name on air, Professor Chidi Maduka was very, is my mentor, and older colleague. He has retired University of Port Harcourt. His lamentation was that Igbos are abandoning their language. When he came to Kano here, there was NAL, Academy of Letters meeting here in Kano at Mumbai House. So my brother was then the MD of Radio Kano. So I took him around Kano. We went to Kano Sehasa Humbly. He saw the people speaking in Hausa. And you can speak in Hausa or English and he found out when he researched that all across the north you can speak English or in Hausa in all the northern houses, including the one in Niger State, which Hausa is dominant there. So that's the and he said that most Igbos think that English will suffice and that they want to speak English. If you go to the market, people will speak English too. And people try to project standard British English. So I think it was a riposte, a critique of that the Achebe's comment. So I tell you that is that availed.
Yes.
You know, they don't attack them so open. They don't attack openly. It was a veiled critique.
So Prof,
that comment.
like writers who are termed as town criers, those that write about the issues of the society where they are living, and if we look at it like in Africa, there are some people, or let me say majority of African people cannot speak good English, and writers are writing in English. What do you think the message will be? Is the message going directly to the people that the writers are writing for, or it will go to the world?
That's what bothered Ngugi at a point in his life. Let me digress. The town crier metaphor or symbol. It's a symbol of community.
Yes.
And the assumption is that everybody knows that language. But not after independence, communities were brought together into a single country. Yes. Look at Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, or even in Kano, there are many languages across the So you cannot, but you can, if you come to Kano now, you want to do town crying, you may have to do it in Hausa, yes, but there are many people who, if they are Chinese people, we're not international, there are Chinese people, there are even Arabs who don't speak any Hausa, who might learn it later.
Yes.
So, but that metaphor began to dissipate, began to fade. and Ngugi faced that problem. He wrote in Gikuyu. But what about the other ethnic groups in Kenya?
Yeah.
You know, if you go to Mombasa, there are Arabs, there are Afro-Arabs, and they don't speak Gikuyu.
And they're all Kenyans.
Yeah, Kenyans. There are other ethnic groups. If you Google, you find that they are you know, Odinga.
Yes.
Doesn't come from Gikuyu, it's from another ethnic group, which is also 50-50 with the Gikuyu. So we get into that contradiction.
Just like
but the English language unified people who could read the stories. So, but that contradiction, I don't know, is still to be resolved.
but Prof, I think this brings back the debate that using English as a language of writing, as a literary language, can prevent a lot of people from understanding the messages. For example, in Nigeria, it is only a small portion of Nigerians that are able to understand English and to speak it. And if all the writings will be written in English, then what will be the consequences of understanding and intelligibility?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. There is a book by, what's his name, who wrote Orality and Literacy. I'm sorry, as I grow older, I've read,
is it by Edward?
My PhD
Okay,
thesis.
Orientalism is that of the Edward Said.
What's his name? A book with the title of Orality and Literacy, I've forgotten the author, addressed that issue.
Yes.
That you see, if you write in English in a society where literacy is not terribly high in the language, something will be lost, which means effectively writing for the English audiences out there, or the elite, or the middle classes who can read English.
Yes.
But then there was even another debate in the academia about Nigerian English expression, whether what you speak is standard British English or Nigerian English, or the question of idioms, or what Ngugi himself faced. How could you write? How could the language help you write and communicate to even people who are barely literate? This contradiction has remained, and I don't know how it will be resolved. So either you say that English writing should be confined to those who are literate in the language, or people who write in Hausa, or in Fulfulde, or in Yoruba, or in Igbo, or whatever. By the way, there's only recently was Things Fall Apart translated into Igbo. I'm not even sure about that. Yeah, maybe there's no Igbo translation because they value English. So that's what you have called is an excellent question. This is a this is a dilemma. Should you write in English? If you do, you know, you exclude certain
portion of people.
Yeah, thank you. And if you do write, even then, for example, if you read modernist novels today, they are very difficult. Read Conrad, read Kafka. Read his The Trial. Or read Dostoevsky's The Underground Man. I taught it to Nigerian students. In fact, there was a discussion in Kenya, this American Humanities Program session, in which the students said they hated Conrad, they hated Kafka, they hated the works of Dostoevsky because they said they are too philosophical. There's too much philosophy. They don't write in fiction. They're philosophizing in fictional terms.
Yes.
I found this in East Africa. The Conrad, many students say, what is he writing? Is this English? So that's the problem. But I heard that someone is trying to translate Conrad into into Arabic. I don't know whether that will, I don't know, but in Hausa, no, because idioms, turns of phrase, the syntax may be a problem.
And the
unless you have an excellent translator, I don't know whether they are gifted translators. There is one Miko in Nigerian languages. Is this Professor Miko Yakase? So he's a special translation from whom I learned. When I was translating, I wrote a piece on Moody speaking. So I consulted him. He wrote a piece in a journal which I read, which helped me. I translated Wasiya Speakia into English. But even then, another speaker endorsed it. But some people say, no, this is not the usual English that people read in the book. So, but it's there in Alligator.
Yes.
So I don't know if anybody needs to talk to Professor Yukoyakase. He's especially in translation.
Yes, Prof. Ngugi had been fighting for the freedom of African indigenous language. And now he's no longer with us. Do you think, and are you of the belief that the new generation of African writers can also continue from where he stopped?
No, I'm skeptical. I don't have the confidence in that sense. No. I don't think most people now want to write in English because foundations, Buka, there are all sorts of foundations in the Western world giving people prize for first novel, the most blah blah novel. If you go to London Review of Books, you see all the prizes there. One Indian writer who wrote in English is nominated for this or that award, but there is a legacy of imperialism and cultural imperialism or cultural snobbery. In the Western world, they want you to write in their language, and I don't think they reward. I don't know. I may be ignorant of this, but I haven't had any Western foundation rewarding or giving prizes for writing in indigenous languages. I haven't had it. Maybe I'm wrong, but somebody can find out. But no, they are not going to. Why should the French encourage you writing in Mandinka or Malinke or Bambara? Why? Because they want their language to predominate. When Burkina Faso remove French and put Malinke or Mosi and so on, as they did an innovation. There are three lingua franca, three languages that are all formal and they are national, they are official. And French is demolished. They are not happy. So if you look at Le Monde, there's a translation, there's some people who carry Le Monde and so on. They all attack, they say we are going back to barbarism and savagery. So African languages cannot express modern normativities, cannot express the deep understanding of intersectionality. That African languages cannot express philosophy, the subject, intersectionality, cannot express complex, cannot even talk about the solar system or astronomy, which is a kind of disguised racism, in my opinion. But I am not confident that the new generation will be writing in indigenous languages.
Right. Yes, so sorry, just a question, Prof. You made me forget the question. Talking about the language itself, let me see if I can, still recall the question. It is about this. And some years back, Prof, I read about, was it an article or an essay written by Ngugi Wa Thiang'o, which was titled 50 Years of Independence, Unity is Still an African Dream.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. So in that, it was it essay or article, he talked about even the way Africans can choose.
Let me tell you the book, The Struggle for Cultural Freedoms.
Yes, of course. So
he says shooting the goal, shooting the goals. The struggle for cultural freedom. That's what it is.
So in that there was a point where they had been, discussing that. Okay, now if we say that we are going to use African languages in our writing, first and to just have a standard language that we can use in Africa, which language are we going to use?
Nura, let me stop you. Let me confess, I too am in a poverty country. I can't write a letter in Hausa.
Oh my God. But sir, you have a
orthography defeats me. Orthography, up to now. Sometimes I have to use my own native, intuitive understanding language. But if I'm writing a letter in Hausa, I find it difficult. I will cancel it. But I'm very fluent in English.
Good. Yes, Prof.
My phone is pro-English. If you write, I wrote my name Zara and it turned it into something like zoo. So the diction, the memory, the diction in the memory of the machines we use are all based on English. But I can tell you, even now in many computers, British English is a mistake. If you write analyze with it was S.
Yes, of course.
And you see people say 0, 0. There's no 0 in English. 0 S 0. No, it's 0. There's no 0 in English because the mistake is that it's a hyper correction from American English Z.
Yes.
Some people see that Ngugi Wa Thiang'o was influenced by Chinua Achebe.
I don't think this is correct because people don't, in literary history, they don't know the literary history of the whole thing. Now, in the 60s, Heinemann wanted to start a series called Africa Writers Series. And Achebe haven't published a book in 1958. Things fall apart. They found it worthy of the founding editor. If you still look at it, you open the cover, the back cover, you see it. And so Achebe was the chairman of the editorial board. But 1964, already, some of the writers like such as Ngugi had a vision of what they wanted to do. And if you look at, read A Grain of Wheat, read by Between. Do you see influence of Things Fall Apart? No. No, I don't see it. Or Petals of Blood, which is a much later novel, for example. So yes, I think that, but it's Heinemann. We appreciate Achebe's services to that African writer series. You can see this Diboko, Salome, even Taif Sali. So they did the editorial work, but I don't think they edited that would account for why we could say that Achebe, that is created or was the first to instill this creative. No, I don't think so. Literary history, I'll be surprised if any professor of literary studies will say this. No. But the influence is what you call intertextuality, intersubjectivity, inter-influence people. One writer influences another. But even Achebe himself, if you say that, then you have to go back to his own influences. I think there are people who want to glorify Achebe. I'm sorry, mostly Igbo intellectuals. The Achebe is super, is divine. When I wrote my piece about him in 2013, Professor Munzal Jibril helped me find all the comments, and we found about 350. All of them, only one praised me. All were condemning me and abusing me. In fact, I was called Boko Haram. One said it wasn't written by these stupid Hausa people, but by that Hausaman hired a Canadian or Australian to write the piece. They were not capable of writing good English. All these disparaging comments. But I think Achebe is he is in the pantheon. He is in the canon. But I don't think now he has been surpassed, in my opinion, by even three writers: Ngugi, Aikwe Ama, and Major Mwangi. That's my view. I can say it anyway. I said it somewhere at a conference. I had challenges. In fact, there was a division. People said, "Yeah, I'm right." Even other Africans said, "Oh, thank you." Someone, African American, hugged me and said, "Yes, we're looking for someone courageous enough to say this." But others excoriated me. I was hated. I was attacked for that view. So look at all his 6 novels. None of his novels can stand up to The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born.
Oh my God.
Let people read it. I ask the listener or reader or viewer to go and pick up Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. Let that person, if he knows, read it. Or fragments.
Yeah, the fragments.
Oh my God.
Very interesting.
Why are we blessed?
Yes, why are we blessed?
There they are. Go read Petals of Blood.
Yeah, Petals of Blood.
Yeah.
Prof, there is one of these novels written by Ngugi. It was like this Devils on the Cross.
Yes. The one he wrote on a toilet paper.
Yes, many people. Some people thought that it was written on a toilet paper.
Yes.
I have his complete works here. Look at it. I can give it to you. If you novels complete, the novels here, the plays, the memoir, essay, and other. Even if you hear it, if you want to. There
Wow,
interesting. You can see, I brought it here deliberately so that I can glance at. You can see the movement of this man. Is the most prolific African writer.
Oh my God.
Prolific in terms of corpus. The body of works, nobody he has excelled in this. There is no writer that can put a candle to his achievement.
Even Shoinka, because Shoinka wrote a lot of books.
What does he write? In terms of eye corpus, he doesn't have his corpus. I said the mystique is there of given to him by the Nobel. And I don't deny that he's a gifted writer. He wrote great works. But read his prison notebook himself, detained. He's a lot of anti-Hausa, anti-Muslim. He wrote an essay in which he attacks Islam. At one point he was a Yoruba. Shoinka is a contradiction in terms.
Oh my God. Contradiction, sir?
Contradiction in terms. He doesn't like Muslim. He said many ethnocentric things against. Read his prison, detained prison. Read his, what is called, I don't know, he wrote when he was detained. Read his book on his prison.
Yeah, that time, Jordan Murtala, when he was detained because of the role in the prison, in the civil war. No, read it. You can Google it now. Shoinka prison. You will see the book. Yes.
About
and look at Shuttle in the Crypt.
Yes.
For example, that is a great achievement. But I am not impressed.
So, Prof, is there anybody among Ngugi's children that is also a prolific writer as his.
Yeah, there is one of his children. What's his name? His name is Ngugi. Let me. His name is
Wamiri.
They have difficult names to pronounce.
It's Wamiri, right?
Waripu, something like that. Yeah, who is also, he's even writing in some of the Western press as a columnist. Here, I have it here. I know I collected somewhere in my laptop. There's another essay written by, there's also a daughter who's very active on the literacy. They all have Gikuyu names, which is
they all have I met them on Facebook.
They have dropped English names.
And so they also live in the US.
Yeah, of course. Even children will never come back to Nigeria.
Wow.
In fact, they were. Maybe I shouldn't say this on air. Some of them just look down on Nigeria and so on because they think Africa smells. There's a lot of poverty and disorganization, and now some of them are using this banditry thing to say that it's not safe to even visit the country. So if you look at it, you can see. Look at just this huge corpus.
Wow.
Just look at it, and each one with the date and the ISBN. So that if you want to just Google the ISBN, the book will come out. Yes. Yeah, it is memoir. Is it memoir or memoirs? If you want to use the American novels, look at the novels.
Novels, yes.
Look at the short story collections. Look at the plays. Look at the
many
memoirs.
plays.
Look at essay and other non-fiction writers.
Wow.
And the guys, something. What's the name? Jumbo name? I can't pronounce that name. Yeah, Mbathi Mathagu. Something like that. You know, they are very difficult names to pronounce. They are ethnic names.
Yes.
Right. So, Prof, we're now going on a short break because when we come back, we are going to be reading questions from our social media handles.
Yes.
Yeah, for you, no problem.
A lot of them.
Yes.
All right. So let's go for a short musical interlude, and when we come back, the program continues.
UK TV, broadcasting for knowledge and innovation.